Going back to the excuses, right? I don't have time. It's too stressful just thinking about it. And then, of course, when you're back, because there's a backlog of work
Mhm.
waiting for you, can't trust the staff to take care of certain issues, right? Why don't we, instead of complaining about it, let's do something about it? Let's prepare to address those issues before you go on vacation. And now, if you follow these basic steps and concepts, what you're doing is you're setting your business up to scale and grow and have greater freedom from it. Thriving in Tandem. It's a podcast for you, the married entrepreneur that wants to win in business and marriage at the same time.
Welcome to Thriving in Tandem.
All right. So taking a vacation, honey, is very beneficial for your soul, of course,
Are you taking me on a vacation?
for our relationship, and just as importantly, if not, and it sounds counterintuitive, but also for your business. Like being gone as the business owner is actually good for your business. And actually, the more you're gone, the more it can be beneficial to everyone. Not just because everyone wants to see you leave, but I mean, we hear all too often. I mean, even for myself early on in my career, and then of course our clients. Every time the topic of vacation comes up, it's so hard to get away. I mean, why is it so hard for entrepreneurs to get away?
As soon as we bring it up, people get so stressed.
Yeah, and you hear
Vacation is supposed to be relaxing and
they
fun,
always.
get away.
Yeah, you hear the stress. It's we're too busy.
We don't take vacations. We don't have
Don't
time.
trust the staff to take care of business while they're gone. There's a whole host of issues or pushbacks on this, and so we're gonna.
It can't run without me.
Yeah, absolutely. And so that's of course that's why they don't take off, right? And so if what we're gonna impact today is the fact that not just taking vacation, because we just don't want you to take off. I mean, there's some preparation involved to get the team, to get the business ready for the owners to be gone. But when you do this, it's going to be beneficial for your business to help you scale and grow to get greater freedom. I mean, think about this. If you really can't tear yourself away from the business, when will you be able to?
Well, and isn't that the whole reason why we have our own business is for the freedom?
Yeah. And so now we're kind of feel more in bondage and slave to
Mhm.
it. And so this is going to be hopefully an enlightening conversation because, as you take the steps to prepare to be on vacation, you'll find that number one, all those excuses, once you're on vacation, you're going to find that they're not valid anymore. And it's obviously you need it for yourself.
Mhm.
You need it as with your spouse. And if you've got kids, the kids, right? Because otherwise, we're just going a day-to-day grind. We're just on it's like Groundhog Day, and nothing's really moving, nothing's improving, just in your personal life and also for the business. And so let's get into this, honey, about how taking vacations is going to be beneficial for your business and for your own personal health and also for your relationships. You're going to have better balance in your life, right? So ready?
I'm ready.
All right. So I remember, years ago when I was starting in my corporate journey, one of the things I wanted to do was put some things in place to actually almost force myself to take a vacation. Because it's not just an entrepreneur thing. When you're in the corporate environment too, very similar. These executives, these salespeople, they said, "Oh, I don't have time to get away. There's so much to do. I'm so busy." So it's really not exclusive to just business owners. And I remember one of my sales colleagues was almost like bragging that she hadn't taken a vacation in like 5 years.
I know. Just think of all the vacation days she had
And,
added up.
and I'm thinking, why? They pay you to go
And
to
she's
take
so
off.
stressed already. You know what I mean? It's
Exactly. It's like they pay you to take off. I mean, it's like
they want
it's
you
not
to
like,
take off.
for a business owner, it's a little different because you feel the weight of income and sales, right? Kind of falls on you. But when you're an employee, they're actually literally paying you to take time off.
And sometimes if you don't use it, you lose it.
Yeah. And we could roll over some, but you can always roll over everything year over year. But anyways, all to say is I remember early on in my career, and you see all these stressed out executives and all that, and some of them not taking vacations for years at a time.
And not in good health.
Yeah, and I was like, I don't want that to happen to me. So I kind of basically put some, I guess you can call it guardrails in place to kind of force myself to take vacations, because we've talked about the research on rest and being re-energized. Taking time off is so energizing for you. So when you do work, you have more energy, you're more alert, you're more creative, right? And so I, to Kaylee's discontent, bought a timeshare.
Yeah. This was before me,
This
you
is
guys,
before
okay?
Kaylee. We had a full discussion about this if we were married at the time, but
I'm sure we would
and then
have.
Kaylee, when I remember we got married, or I don't know, even maybe before we got married, she would always say how it's not a good investment. Timeshares is not a good investment. And I agreed from a monetary perspective, right? It's not a good investment. I totally understood that. But that wasn't what I was investing into. It wasn't a financial investment. I felt it was an investment into me and my health. And when you pay for something, you're going to use it, right? Especially when you're paying a good chunk of change. And so we've used it, right, honey?
Yes, we have used it.
And
I would still
it.
love to get rid of it.
And we've enjoyed it. But we've enjoyed it, right? When we're on vacation, you enjoy it, right? When you're skiing or at the Hotel Del.
Because you do all the planning, because there's a whole, if anybody has a timeshare, it's so involved, so many steps to take, and I'm like too complicated. I don't want to spend all the time doing it.
So basically, this is one thing just throw out there is you really got to just put some things in place to kind of almost force you to get away. And it is so rejuvenating when you are away.
Well, and I want to say something too about that is you are so good about planning it, because you know what? If it was left up to me to plan vacations, it probably wouldn't happen, because I thought, oh yeah, we'll go on a vacation. But unless you get it on the calendar and start planning and making reservations, it just doesn't happen. And it's like the year's gone by so quickly, and you're like, what happened?
Yeah. And so what are the results, right? If you don't take regular vacations, regular breaks, not even just vacations like week-long vacations, but even weekends, like taking a full day off every week is so important. And if you don't, right, and we've talked about this in this podcast before, and we've had guests on it, I mean, you just become more and more stressed, right? Your body just accumulates more and more stress, and it's not good for you, your physical health, emotional health, mental health, even spiritual health. And of course, when you're stressed, the more stressed you are, you're not as pleasant to be around, right? Not as good as a husband or wife or mother and father, friend. And then, of course, then business owner. The more stressed you are in business, I mean, you're just not.
And everybody feels it, even your clients.
Yeah. And so taking breaks is actually very productive. And so we want to kind of address the issue of the excuses why we don't take vacations, right? I don't have time. It's too stressful. How many clients have we talked to, and not just clients, but even other business owner friends that just think, you said earlier, thinking about the stress of going on vacation. They don't want to go on vacation just because of the stress of going on vacation. So you're probably thinking, well, I thought vacations were not stressful. well, when you're away and you're disconnected, it isn't stressful. But a lot of business owners are stressed thinking about going on vacation because they're thinking about, what's going to happen if they're away.
Well, and I think being prepared, that's where you get the peace in it. And you can go away and you're like, okay, I can do this. But when you don't have things in place, it is very stressful. And you're thinking, oh my gosh, how am I going to do all this? And I think we also find our identity a lot of times in our job, our career, our business. And we think, oh, it's just not going to make it without me.
Yeah. So sometimes it is the fact that the business could run without you, but we're fearful. The control, it's a control issue, right? The fear of not being there, not being in control. We fear the worst. We fear like the barn's going to burn down. And if that's true, if that were to happen, then you've got business issues to address. You've got some employee and personnel issues and systems and processes. And so we want you, so preparation, right? So we want you to be, it's not about just going on vacation, but let's prepare to go on vacation. And so again, going back to the excuses. Right? I don't have time. It's too stressful just thinking about it. And then, of course, when you're back, because there's a backlog of work
Mm-hmm.
waiting for you, can't trust the staff to take care of certain issues, right? So why don't we, instead of complaining about it, let's do something about it. Let's prepare to address those issues before you go on vacation. And so when you do this, what you're doing is you're preparing your team to take care of business while you're gone. And so in such a way that you don't have a backlog of work, or at least not a big backlog of work when you get back.
Yeah, it reminds me of someone we know. They have a business and they decided we really need to get vacation. We're burnt out. So they went and told their staff. And the staff's like, oh no, please don't go. One of them was going to have a baby like while they were on vacation. They felt ill prepared and they're, please don't go right now. So they postponed it.
Yeah.
To ease everybody's nerves and get them prepared.
Yeah. And so what you need to do is just prepare the team. And so first thing now if you follow these basic steps and concepts, what you're doing is you're setting your business up to scale and grow and have greater freedom from it. Because think about this, right now you're feeling like you have to be there all the time, which means you're not positioned to business to scale and grow, right? Because scaling and growing is positioning your business, creating a foundation so your business can grow beyond your capacity. So you can be gone for a year and the business not only just survives, but it actually thrives and can even grow beyond you, because that means you have not just systems and processes in place, but you have the right people in the right seat to move the business forward even in your absence. And so this vacation, forcing yourself to take a vacation and forcing yourself to prepare the team while you're gone, is that first step in scaling and growing your business for greater freedom. I was just on a call, kind of a mastermind call a week or so ago, and this was one of the questions that came up. This is kind of why I want to do this episode. She was going on a mission trip and she wanted to prepare her team to be gone in her absence. She hadn't been gone in 6 years.
Wow.
She was one of those entrepreneurs, right? Hadn't been on vacation for almost 6 years. And so I started outlining some of these steps we're talking about today, but then I was also added that when you get back, the things you're doing to prepare your team to be gone in your absence, which means you're going to be handing over more work, more responsibility. When you get back, don't just take back control of those issues or those tasks, right? It's really about, hey, here you go. And when I get back, you're still doing it, basically.
Well, and it means giving yourself enough time to train people, whatever you need. It's not like the day before you're trying to get out the door and you just throw everything on somebody and say, here, figure it out.
Yeah, or even a week.
Yes.
Or even a week before. So I think the first thing is think 3 months ahead, at least a minimum of 3 months ahead, to prepare your team to take care of business while you're gone. So the first thing is list all the things that you do, and then circle the things that literally only you can do. Like in my friend's case, she's an attorney, and she's the only attorney on staff, and so which means there's only certain things only attorneys can do. Mm-hmm. So there's some legal aspects to this, but there's a lot. 90% of the other stuff can be handled by the staff, and you got a paralegal, legal assistant, right? So there's a bulk of the work that actually can continue to keep going without her. The only things you can't do is maybe do intake a new client, make any kind of legal decision for an existing client. But those are things you can also prepare ahead of time, like communication with your clients and all that kind of stuff. But all that to say is circle the things that only you can do, or at the very least is going to take more than 3 months to qualify one of your team members to take over that task, right? Mm-hmm. But be be judicious about this, because I think a lot of times the go-to is only I can do this. Mm-hmm. Talking about control issue, when the reality is you got to take a step back and is that really true, or am I just afraid of letting go of control?
Or waiting till the last minute to train these people, and then everybody's stressed to the gills and they're like, oh my gosh, I don't know if I can handle all this, it's too much.
Yeah, so circle the things only you can do, and for the rest, the bulk of the other activities, business activities, start identifying who is skilled and gifted to be able to do these other things. Now, again, they are probably not they may or may not have had any experience doing some of this work because you've been doing it all. But just like there's probably certain types of administrative work that you do that maybe you shouldn't be doing anyway. Certain personnel issues, bookkeeping issues, invoicing, billing. There's certain things that definitely, as a business owner, you shouldn't be doing anyway, but you're doing. Mm-hmm. And so, identifying, the work that you can hand off to other people, and they may not have been doing it yet, but they're qualified to do it. So, someone that's more analytical, they can hand off some of the more detailed, maybe numbers work, bookkeeping work, that kind of stuff. Someone that's more social can handle maybe some of the basic customer service issues or sales issues, right? And so think about people on your team that can handle some of this other work.
So that also means having conversations with your employees about some of the things they might like to do, or that they're good at that you might not know about.
Yeah, it's a great opportunity to almost like reevaluate your team, maybe re-interview everybody to see, what other things in the business they might want to do some, or do more of.
Yeah, it's good to evaluate because sometimes you can switch people around into different seats doing things that they love to do that you didn't know and they're great at.
Yeah, and so you got 3 months in advance, right? So now you identified some people that can do some of the work, and so now you have to be more intentional about maybe your staff meetings or whatever, or have people shadow you for half a day or whatever. Think about a training process to get them, acclimated to some of this other work. And if they're already skilled and gifted to do that kind of work, it shouldn't be that hard.
But they still need training.
Yeah. But it won't be, if you're kind of fitting the right people in the right seat, it's not like, honey, trying to have me train you in QuickBooks, right? Because that would be not good for the relationship. But of course, that's not your skill set anyway. So, which means I could train you and you could say yes, but it'll be a thing.
In the long run,
it would be a thing, right?
It wouldn't be good for either one of us.
If I have someone that's really good with numbers and loves math and all that kind of stuff and loves processes, then of course, someone like that, it won't take as much time to ramp them up.
That is so true.
Then the other thing is to think about is in the process is nominate some kind of leaders. Mm-hmm. It might be one person on the team, or it might be multiple people on the team that the rest of the team kind of comes to for, kind of some feedback, some counsel, should I do this? Should I not do this? Right. So kind of a leader or manager in your absence. And so again, it might be one person or might be multiple people. So think about that as you're thinking through your team, your staff. Also think about who could I trust to be able to make decisions on my behalf. Someone that kind of gets you how you think, understands the values of your company. So think about those things, right? So now you're kind of starting to build or rebuild your organizational chart in a sense. Mm-hmm. And then again, starting 3 months before your next vacation, starting at least 3 months before your next vacation.
Well, and you probably won't have time before the vacation, but it would be good to have some procedures and processes in place that you could put together when you get back.
Yeah. In fact, not when you get back, is actually, that was my next point.
Oh.
Is to start that process before you leave.
Oh, yeah, if you have time to do that.
You have some time. So as you're training, right, your team members to take care of some of these other tasks, document it. And it may not be you, but it might be the person you're training, mm-hmm. right? Have them document the process and the procedures.
Or somebody that's good at doing that kind of thing, document stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, like one of our clients, we told him, hey, why don't you make some videos of your procedures? And they have a service-based business. And so people can watch them, like new hires or people that are even working there now and they forget how to do something. They can just watch the video and learn that way.
Yeah. And so systems and processes, because that's so important, because you not only are you training these current team, but as you're growing, and I'm assuming you want to grow, you're going to be bringing on more personnel. And wouldn't it be nice if all the training doesn't fall on you?
Well, and let's be honest, a lot of times we are not good trainers, the entrepreneurs ourselves, at least myself.
Yeah. And so that's why, again, you're handing kind of authority and responsibility to the person that you're training, have them document stuff. And then in the process, give them the latitude to improve upon the process that you've already outlined. Mm-hmm. Right. And then you kind of refine that. And a lot of times the person that's doing it and also might be better skilled at that task than you are anyway, because a lot of times as entrepreneurs, small business owners, we're taking on responsibilities that we're good at but we're not great at. And if you can hand it off to people that are better equipped to do those tasks, then most likely they're going to find a better way to do that task. So allow them the freedom and the latitude to look for improvements and implement it, but then document. Because then as you're documenting, you're creating systems that they or you can pass on to the person that eventually takes over that job. Because eventually as you're growing, your current staff members might be, in more leadership positions or doing other positions or other jobs, and you're going to have to train people to replace them. Mm-hmm. And so documentation is so important. So that way, number one, you've got something in writing for people to lean on. And then also it becomes more replicable, because otherwise, if you keep everything in your head, then means the training does fall all on you.
Well, and let's face it, sometimes we're not doing the same thing all the time. So we have to have notes of it somewhere to go back and refresh ourselves.
Yeah. And so you're creating SOPs, standard operating procedures. I mean, that's exactly, you've probably heard of this, but how do you do this, right? So here's an example of when you get ready to go on emergency or go on vacation, you're forcing yourself to create SOPs, and you're forcing yourself to get your team prepared to do the other jobs that you're already doing. One of the things is, of course, there's always a fear about what if there's an emergency, right? I want to be available for emergencies. Just be cautious about this, because you don't want to say, here's my phone number, or they probably have your phone number anyway, or some people do. You don't want to be so available that they just contact you for any small things that they're just afraid of making a decision. So you probably want to define what a true emergency is, create some guardrails. Okay, if this happens, then definitely call me. But if this happens, then it's up to you. I'm going to trust you to make a decision. And of course, that's also why you've appointed other leaders within the organization for them to go and confide in and have counsel and discuss things, right? So they don't have to feel like the weight of that decision is all on them. So we do have somebody else in the company that can, communicate and talk about this stuff.
Well, and you've been raising them up for the last 3 months. So hopefully you're teaching them some of these skills on how to make decisions and how you like to have things done. And
then we talked about before, and we started this conversation, is there's certain decisions that maybe, no one is equipped to do. And then you put that in. Okay, if this kind of decision or this kind of task, definitely we're just going to hold off until I get back. Mm-hmm. Right. But make sure it's a small list.
Well, and let them start making some of those decisions while you're still there before you go on vacation, so that they can run them by you and you guys can talk about it and discuss it. And maybe you'll come up with even a better plan than what you originally had.
Yeah. I think if you're intentional about when you see these opportunities to empower your team to take care of other tasks that, that only you're equipped to do, but starting this opportunity to develop them to do some of those higher level business activities.
It's good because you're training them up to be able to make decisions, and at the same time you're allowing yourself to let go of some of that control.
Yeah. And so as you're doing this, what's happening is your team is going to be empowered to make decisions for themselves, and you're going to see improvements in the processes, right? Because now you're putting it responsibility on them, and you empowered and given the green light to look for improvements and implement improvements. And so, and we found that, like one of our clients, when they did do this and they went away on vacation, they had a good time, they came back, and the team just took care of everything. Mm-hmm. Right. They're so pleased at how well the team took care of stuff when they're on vacation. And you'd be surprised, right? It goes back to what we said earlier, is a lot of times we think they can't handle it, but we just haven't given them an opportunity to do it. And they're all adults. They're all adults, right? They're going to, by and large, make good decisions.
Well, and I want to say too, we all make mistakes. So give each other grace and make it a learning experience, because no one's going to do things the way you do it. Mm-hmm. And that's okay. And you've probably had years and years of experience, and this is somebody new.
Yeah.
So make it a teachable moment.
Yeah, it's good. So allow room for mistakes, right? Don't be a perfectionist and become highly critical of your team if they make a mistake. It's part of the learning process, and we've all been through it. And like as you said, honey, you've been through it as a business owner. You've made mistakes. So to hold our team to a higher standard than what we were able to hold to in ourselves is not realistic. And so we got to allow that latitude for those things to happen. But you're going to find this process, right? Number one is, especially when you're starting months ahead of time, you're going to find yourself a little bit more at ease when you go on vacation, number one, because you probably haven't done this before, right? We haven't adequately prepared our team to take care of business in our absence.
Mm-hmm.
You kind of maybe you dump stuff on them, right? But when you've had time to prepare them a little bit better, you're going to feel a little bit more at ease when you go on vacation. And then you'll probably be pleasantly surprised when you get back that the workload when you get back is not as great as you had feared.
Mm-hmm.
And then again, what I said earlier is when you get back from vacation, resist the temptation to take back control. Keep it going. Use that as a starting point to relinquish more and more of those business issues or business tasks that you're doing.
Well, and I want to say too is if you're working on a project, let the client know ahead of time that you're going to be out of town such and such dates. So that way you're prepared with them, then you don't catch them off guard, and if they need something, they can get it before that. Or maybe they're okay with waiting till you get back. But our experience has been they're really understanding if they know ahead of time. You give them plenty of notice that when you're going to be gone.
Yeah. And as long as communication, right? It's all open lines of communication. And when you do that, everybody will be fine. Will there be mistakes? Yeah, there may be. But most of those, if not all of those, are just going to be pretty minor and nothing you can't deal with. But by and large, you're going to find that business is taken care of, and you're now have made the first step to scaling and growing your business for greater freedom. And when you're on vacation mode, you'd be surprised how many times, and we've heard this too, how many times people say, "Oh, I had such great ideas for the business."
Yeah.
Right. Which a good thing and a bad thing. Bad thing is you're thinking about business, so you got to have some kind of mechanism to write it down and get it off your plate or record it or something, because you don't want to be thinking about business. Although those things do happen, it happens to us too. But you need a mechanism to get it off your mind, so you're not thinking about it all the time. So write it down, record it or something to get it off your mind, and you deal with it when you get back. But those things happen. That when you're relaxed, we talked about being more creative and innovative when you're relaxed, and things are going to happen, and you're going to be rejuvenated. And then when you get back home, you're just ready to hit it, right?
And I think the staff is really appreciative too, at the same time that you're giving them more responsibility, allowing them to step up to the plate, build that self-confidence within them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you're gonna be very, very pleased in yourself that you're probably you might be kicking yourself why I didn't do this earlier, right? But again, there's a fear and control issue, and as entrepreneurs, we can be very controlling. so understand that, but just get over it. The sooner you do this, the sooner you're going to get greater freedom from the business, and that the business can prosper in such a greater way, because when you're in too much control, then obviously the backlog of growth falls on you.
Well, and you can always start baby steps. You can take a long weekend if you don't feel like you can get away for a week or two.
Yeah, good idea.
See how that works, and then build yourself up from there.
Yeah, take a 3-day, 4-day weekend. It's a good idea. And you'll find it's going to be good for your business. It's going to be good for your own health. It's going to be good, really good for your relationships, right?
Yes, your family's going to be so grateful.
Because your spouse, your kids are probably thinking, when are we going on another vacation? It hasn't been on vacation since I was born or whatever, right? And so everybody's going to be happier, and your business will be better for it. So take more vacations.
Don't be like your old coworker. I haven't taken one in 5 years, and I'm so proud of myself.
Yeah. So take more vacations. It's going to be beneficial for everyone, including your business. So thank you for listening. Please share this with another married entrepreneur that needs to hear this. because I'm sure you know some that are just like you that haven't taken a vacation in a while. And maybe you can help each other, hold each other accountable, right, to do this. And then please, we'd love to have a great review from you as well. And until next week, God bless. Thank you for listening to the Thriving in Tandem podcast. Please visit our website, marriedentrepreneur.co, for a variety of free resources to help your marriage and business succeed.
And feel free to leave us a review and share this episode with another married entrepreneur. That would mean so much to us.
See you next week.